It's the Cobry Cafetiere of cloud knowledge. Oh yeah.
Can have a foolproof security system that's that cannot be penetrated. You cannot lose your files because everything's so secure. But someone writes their password down on a post-it note and disables two-factor authentication, and if they've got access to some sensitive files, whether they delete them, whether someone sees their post-it on their computer attached onto their monitor and logs in as them, that's always the weakest link, right?
Mm.
So having your files on the cloud isn't enough.
In Drive specifically, any data you delete, whether that's in your My Drive or in any shared drive, you have a 30-day retention period where they'll get moved to either your My Drive's bin or your shared drive's bin. If you fully delete a Google Workspace account, so you actually delete that from the admin console, you can either transfer all the data straight away, but you do also have a sort of retention period there as well for, I believe it's 20 days to recover the account.
Unfortunately, it's also very rare for a company to realise that they've deleted important data within a 20-day period. That's why we still recommend to have a cloud-to-cloud backup solution where if something does go missing from Google Workspace, you just open up the other backup and then pick which file or email or even folder you want to restore from. Google Vault's for archiving and data retention rather than actual backup. So it doesn't back up or restore any of your data. What it's used for is more like kind of legal scenarios to protect your company against lawsuits.
Yeah, it's good for taking like a quick snapshot of some data that needs to be retained. Is using it for your entire company as a backup service just isn't viable at all.
You've got all your Drive files are covered. That's including Google documents, that's including PDFs, images, videos, everything is backed up. Essentially taken from Google servers and placed on an external server that doesn't exist on Google, such that there's two areas in which the file is stored, both on the cloud. And then you've got all your emails, including attachments. And the brilliant thing about a backup solution, if something needs to be restored, you can search via subject line, via the contents of the email as well. Because a lot of the time someone say, oh, I've got an email missing, but I can't remember who it was sent by or what the subject line is or what the contents are. Usually one of the pieces are missing. And then that's when you say, well, actually, we can sift through that. We can see what you do know, and then we can find out, like, back work it and see what the file was before we restore it. What the email was before we restore it. Contacts as well, as Luke said, and calendar events can also be restored.
Having a backup solution in place is a preventative way to protect your organisational data rather than a reaction when something goes wrong.
Budgeting for the backup solution rather than budgeting for recovery.
A basic principle of business, running a business and business continuity is to manage risk and mitigate what might happen. And to put this in place, the cost that's involved and the effort involved is absolutely minimal compared to what might happen if you don't.